these buildings would have been made out of timber or wattle and daub, so they all got washed away really quickly. So definitely don't imagine like an Atlantis under the sea. It's all gone, and people that do dive, they dive more to explore. So this bit of land then became a sandbank under the sea, so it's not visible, but it is there, and it does make sailing quite difficult, so lots gets caught on that bank. Particularly there was a shipwreck that we don't know exactly which ship it was, so it's just called the Dunwich bank wreck, and there were lots of dives in the 80s and 90s to explore it, and that's where this cannon is from. Given the history of Dunwich, it's the type of place that inspires lots of storytelling, and it's got its own kind of like supernatural folklore. But some of the things they say about Dunwich, like I've already mentioned, is one of them is that you hear the bells tolling under the sea. So some other people say it's nonsense. It, you know, depends on what you believe, and like things like spectral sheep and cows. I think there's been I read online, there's a sighting of like an Elizabethan sailor boy on the beach, and kind of disembodied footsteps walking along the cliff top. Another sighting people have had, so there's the famous black shuck, who's the black dog that you know, haunts Suffolk, but also like Norfolk claims a black dog as well, and Essex and the Fens. There's lots of stories, different folklore. Some people say if you see the dog, then you'll die, or he'll haunt you or chase you down. But there's been, you know, a couple sightings of black shuck around.
As Beth says, we get a lot of stories told. I've met people who've told me stories who are very basically kind of not the sort of people who you think would be fantasists. Say people who've been looking for family relatives. I've heard a really good story about how they were looking at the family grave, and as they were looking at it, an old man with a little pony cart drove past on the lane, and he was wearing a smock and a straw hat, and he waved at them, and they just you know, they felt it was very uncanny, and the hair stood up on their head, and they ran out to the road to see if they could see where he'd gone, and they saw no sign of him at all, so they really felt like it was their great-great-grandfather or something whose grave they were looking at. So
guys, what do we all think of Dunwich?
I think it's a nice place. Well, you know, we've just been, obviously. Yeah. And heading out, I think I'm gonna miss the quiet, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, yeah. I have to say, Dunwich is sort of a place. It's very tranquil, and I don't think you could ever imagine there being a town here, personally.
No, I get what you mean. You wouldn't think this little place used to be one of the biggest ports in England.
Yeah. It's a weird contrast, but you have to say that there were 5,000 people, and that back in the 1200s, that was a massive population.
Because true, I mean, obviously population now it's
ridiculous.
Ipswich is what?
150 or something,
yeah.
thousand. It's mental. I mean, you know, obviously inflation, population. It's made this place seem like it was just a small town.
Yeah.
When really, at the time, it would have been the biggest. Well, it was the biggest port town in East Anglia, and could have been even bigger if it had a more stable
footing.
Yeah.
Quite literally.
And the fact that even when the Romans came here, they knew that it was like, they didn't know why or how, but they knew that this was going to fall back over the years, so they built most of their stuff fairly inland, which is interesting.
Smart people.
Yeah, definitely.
Makes you wonder how, like, when is the erosion going to stop?
Yeah.
Because, well, it's like every 100 years the whole country shifts over by a bit.
Yeah.
It's interesting that the reason why Dunwich couldn't flourish is because, well, it fell into the sea, and therefore the reason why sea defences won't be put in place to prevent any more of it falling into the sea is because of the previous time that it fell into the sea. So it's just going to keep happening forever and ever.
Oh yeah. That's interesting because, like, what, 1,000 years ago, no one knew what coastal erosion was. No one even understood the idea of it. They just knew that, oh, we're losing a bit of land to the ocean or the sea. What are we going to do about it? And they didn't have a clue what to do about it. Nowadays, if a place we know has coastal erosion, we're like, let's whack a whack a seawall there to stop any strong waves from coming up. Put groins down to stop the sand from going over and joining onto a spit at the end of the land, which is what inevitably, because there was multiple build-up of problems with Dunwich, is that one of them, around the 1400s I think it was, there's the beach, the sand was just basically getting pushed over and joining onto a spit, which cornered off this bit of land that Dunwich had a really nice port sort of area where there weren't waves or anything, so just standing water.
So we've got some of our natural history stuff. So we've got a whale's rib there. Yeah, we get quite a lot of fossils brought in because people really like to look for fossils on the beach in Suffolk and Norfolk. So they bring things in. Oh yeah, these are some of the more recent things brought into us. Yeah, just from the beach. So, you know, this is not a fossil because it's quite a pale bone, but this is probably a rib of something, most likely like cattle. And then this is part of a skull, and you know, they're not necessarily like historically significant, but like people are excited to find things and they want to bring them into us and we can have a look. So this is some like hammered metal and possibly like the hull of a ship, and then this it's probably not that old, but it's just a bit of turned pottery. Yeah, but it's quite nice to like encourage especially kids that come in to feel like they're like archaeologists or historians, going out finding bits and bobs. So yeah, but yeah, sometimes people do find fossils, like we get you know, mammoth bone and ancient rhino bone brought into us. So yeah, if you go on the beach and you find some bone, if it's really dark brown, looks almost like wood, then it's fossilised. If it's pale, then it's much more recent. Yeah.